Today I want to talk about 5 minimalist habits that have made my life a lot easier, saved me time, helped me not be that stressed and just know what I want, live an intentional life. So let's get started with the first one. And that is focusing on what you have instead of what you lack. What I mean by that is that oftentimes we are so focused on what we need in order to be happy, like what we need to buy, how our life must change, what is not okay right now, that we forget that we already have most of the things that we need, that we want, most of the tools to live a happy life. And while this is, of course, not just a small hack and done in 5 minutes, change your mindset and you're happy, it is something that has helped me a lot and that I have practiced a lot and learned a lot through just focusing on what we actually have. Because sometimes we think we can get the happiness we want from an item that cannot give it to us. Let's take our wardrobe as an example, because most of the time we do have some pieces that we like wearing, that we feel good and comfortable in, and we forget about those, but instead focus on the last trendy pieces that we've seen somewhere and think that they are needed in our closet to make us happy. And yes, it's okay to sometimes purchase something, to sometimes change things up, but most of the time we already have so much. And if we focus on that, we might not even want all of these things anymore that we thought we needed for our happiness. But now let's move on to the second one. This is a lot more practical and you can easily do that right now to make your life easier. And that is make systems and routines and practices that avoid clutter from entering into your life. And what I mean by that, the easiest example would maybe be unsubscribe from newsletter. Because if you unsubscribe from today, you can avoid 100 emails in the future that you would get that you're not interested in. Of course, if there are newsletters you're interested in, keep those. But oftentimes we get more that we're not interested in. Of course, it's still something that you need to do, but it will make it easier to actually see the messages that are important in the future and not have hundreds of emails that you do not want to receive. Also, it does actually save quite a bit of electricity. And that, of course, also goes for other things. So for me, for example, that also means just learning from my past purchasing decisions. For example, I don't wear dresses. So why would I even think about dresses for the summer, dresses for winter, dresses I should buy, dresses I could buy, dresses I see somewhere? The same goes for heels. The same goes for other things that I just don't have or don't want. And maybe I'll change in the future. Maybe I'll buy dresses again. But I think already knowing things, already making decisions that go for the future as well, that go for a lot of other decisions in the future, will make it a lot easier, save a lot of decisions and thoughts and thinking and worrying and not being sure what you actually want. By knowing that you usually don't wear dresses, you can just decide to not buy them in the future. By knowing that jeans are uncomfortable for you, you can just, get rid of that category in your wardrobe, and then you don't ever have to worry again about a white pair of jeans, a black pair of jeans, a blue pair of jeans, a comfortable pair of jeans, a pair of jeans that looks good but is not comfortable. You get what I mean. Creating systems and kind of rules for ourselves that will help us in the future to avoid hard purchasing decisions and spending money that we don't want to spend on items that we don't want to have. The next one goes hand in hand with that and purchasing decisions that we'll regret later, and that is take a step back before you purchase something. And I think this is it sounds so easy, it can be so hard, but it is so powerful. I've talked about that in other videos. For example, this one where I talk about how to be happy with what you have and not constantly feel the need to buy new things. And so this is how I use this tool to avoid things that I don't want to have in my life and live a minimalist life with the things that are important to me. I make a list. I think this is a powerful way to do this and a very easy one. You can either write it down on a piece of paper, write it down in your phone or on your computer, or also just keep it in your brain. When something comes to my mind that I'd like to buy, I put it on that list and I wait before I buy it. And the list is really interesting because it can visualize how things that we think we need so badly sometimes become less and less important by the hour. Because it happens quite often that I put something on the list thinking that I'm for sure gonna buy it like in a week or in a month. And then after a week or month has passed by, I realized that that is really not something I want to have anymore. And there are different reasons. There's advertisement. We see somebody with something and it just looks good on them, looks good in their home. Oftentimes we also link an item to a certain feeling, and because we crave that feeling, we think we need that item. But I think if we put it on the list, if we give it some thought, if we take a step back, it makes it possible for us to be just a bit more like realistic. And for my life, I think I could say like, I won't put an item on a list if I just think about it 1 second. But if I think like I really want to buy it, I put it on a list. And for the things on this list, I think I buy half of them, and half of them just fall off the list again after a certain time because I realize I don't need them. So, it actually saves a lot of purchases and money. If you already use a list like that, let me know how the ratio is on your list. Do you often purchase all of the things you put there, or do you often like not buy all of them because it's all just thoughts in the moment and you realize later that you don't want these things? And the fourth thing I think is really interesting and something I'm totally still working on in many areas of my life, and that is keep your long-term goals in mind when making like also short-term decisions. That of course goes for when you walk past the store and think, oh, that would be nice. You should really think about like, you spent that money, you bring it home, you need to find a place for it, you need to care for it, you need to like dust that item or just maintain it, and after a certain period of time, it will either break and you have to recycle it or put it in the trash, or you have to declutter it again and find a new home for it. So there's a lot of responsibility with buying one item. Another thing would be how you spend your time. And that's what I'm really struggling with still sometimes. So today I maybe don't feel like working, or I feel like just, watching a show on my computer. But that's just what I want to do right now. If I take a step back, breathe in, breathe out 5 times, and think about if the use of my time today supports my long-term goals, I can make a different decision. Because if I ask myself only what I want to do right now, then I'll never feel like doing my taxes, and then I'll never do them. But if I think about my long-term goals, how I feel if I have things checked off that are important to be done, how I feel when I work on my long-term goals every single day instead of postponing and procrastinating, that makes a difference. And here I think it's important to say that it's still okay to listen to your body. It's still okay to decide that today I need a break, I can't work as much today. It's still okay to like cancel plans you had. It's okay to do less and realize that your long-term goals are not that important and you have to put your short-term goals first right now. But I think there are still a lot of things we do just to satisfy our momentary desires, not thinking about our long-term goals. But if we would keep those in mind, we would make a different and sometimes better decision. And so I want to encourage you to keep your long-term goals in mind. And then the 5th thing is, don't delay decisions about stuff you already have, like about your current environment. What I mean by that is junk drawers and incoming mail and clutter that's lying around and unpacking when you come home. So I think you kind of get it. I don't want for myself, for my life, for my living space to just contain postponed decisions. Because if you have like a mountain of paper clutter that's rising and rising and rising, and you know that there are some important things in there are things in there that can be recycled, there are things in there you need to answer, but you kind of lose the overview and it's just lingering stress and tasks. It's just not making your life better. It's cluttering your space. It's making your life harder in the sense that it will take more time once you get to it, once you have to like understand again what's what and see what you have to do. Maybe you already missed a deadline, things like that. The same goes for when you come home. It's the best to just unpack right now. That's something I'm pretty good at. But of course, oftentimes when I come home, I'm tired and I don't feel like unpacking, but I know it saves me a lot of time and stress actually, because if I do it right now, it's okay. Like, it's just part of coming home. It's part of like arriving at home after a trip, for example. And then I can do laundry, and then I have all my things again. I have my camera at my desk. I have my photos backed up and everything. But if I put it somewhere and if I don't do it right away, it could take days or even weeks, and then maybe I need my backpack and it's still full of stuff, or I need new clothes and they're still dirty and in my bag. You get it. It just makes sense in so many situations to do things right away. What helps with that is having a place for each thing and searching for solutions right now. I get it that sometimes it makes sense to like make one paper admin day. But it's better to do it once a week or once a month instead of once a year, or whenever the mountains get higher and higher and it feels super overwhelming. The same goes for decluttering. My favorite way of decluttering is actually just decluttering by living. So whenever I see something that I don't need anymore, I will declutter it right away. Now, I won't take that individual item, leave my house and bring it to a secondhand store or to a person that wants to have it, but I'll have it somewhere pile up. So that's kind of the opposite from what I said before, but hear me out. So there, I think it's easier to do it like once every few months and bring the stuff like out of my home or sell things on an online marketplace, for example. But I think it helps to make the decision of decluttering something in your everyday life once it appears, like once the question arises and you see like, I have not used this thing in months, so maybe I should declutter it. Because it just frees up that space and it gives you that decluttered feeling for your actual like living space, for your actual routines, working in the kitchen, cooking, in your wardrobe, to just have the benefits there already. And I don't think it's too bad to have a pile somewhere with the decluttered stuff, as long as you don't let that get overboard and never bring it out of the house again. Before I end this video, I just want to say in general that I don't think there are any rules that apply to everybody. There are no hacks that work for everybody. And in general, I think it just makes sense to get to know yourself better and learn from your purchases, from how you live, from how you feel, and try to apply that to your future and to your decisions. But as we live, we change, we grow, we have different opinions. So I don't think there's like an end point of being a minimalist and never changing again. Things will always be changing, and that is life. But I think minimalism and having a few like rules and habits can greatly help to make your life easier and less stressful. And I think having less stress is so valuable because you have a lot more resources for the things that are important to you, and you can care better for yourself and the people around you. And if you're motivated right now to tackle your space, I'm gonna link you my spring cleaning video right here. I hope you're gonna enjoy it, and I hope you will see me right there right now. Bye!